The African savanna has always been a place where kings rise and fall. It's not just a landscape, it's a stage. Every sunrise lights up old scars of battles. Every sunset hides secrets in the dust. Out here, survival is the crown, and the throne belongs only to those strong enough to claim it. Among all the stories born in this wild theater, one stands out. It's a story so mysterious and powerful that it feels almost impossible. And yet, it's true. It's the story behind the title, They Disappeared Without a Trace, and returned as Kings of Death. I'm talking about the Jokmales, a coalition of lions that lived, fought, vanished, and came back with the kind of presence that turns animals into legends. Their tale isn't written in books. It's written in paw prints fading into the dust, in scars carved into their skin, and in the echoes of their roars that once rolled across the plains. But before they were kings, they were cubs. And like every young lion, the Jokmales began their lives fragile, playful, and completely dependent on their mothers. In the savannah, a cub is a promise of future power, but also a target. Hyenas circle in the night. Leopards watch from the trees. And rival males will kill without hesitation, wiping out an entire bloodline in a heartbeat. Beauty and cruelty live side by side here. That's the duality of the wild. As cubs, the Joks knew warmth, protection, and the bond of their pride. But in the world of lions, sons don't stay sons forever. When they grow, they are pushed out, exiled, forced to survive on their own. It's not punishment. It's nature's law. It's how balance is kept. And so the Jokmales faced their first trial. Cast out, inexperienced, they wandered the land with nothing but hunger, fear, and uncertainty. No family, no territory, no safety. Just open savanna and the sound of their own steps. Many young lions die during this stage. Most never make it beyond exile. But the Jokmales were different. They vanished for months. No one knew if they were alive or dead. Guides whispered, rangers speculated. Had they been wiped out by stronger males? Or had they disappeared into the shadows waiting? All anyone knew was that they disappeared without a trace. And here's a question for you. What do you think makes someone a true king? Loud victories or silent struggles no one sees? Drop your thoughts in the comments. When the Jokmales disappeared, the savannah grew quiet. Their paw prints faded under the wind. Days turned into weeks and weeks into months with no sign of them. For many, it was as if they had been erased from existence. Lions vanish all the time. Most never return. That silence created a legend, because in nature, absence itself speaks. Every missing roar was a reminder that something was gone. People began to ask, had they fallen in battle? Had hunger claimed them, or were they waiting for their moment, sharpening their strength in the shadows? For young lions, this stage of exile is the crucible. It's the hardest part of their lives, and it breaks most of them. Without the safety of a pride, food is harder to find. Injuries linger longer. Nights are colder. Rival males patrol every border, ready to kill intruders. For the Jokmales, survival was the only goal. But survival is never just survival. Every day alive teaches lessons. Hunger teaches patience. Scars teach strategy. Defeat teaches humility. And silence teaches endurance. In many ways, the savannah itself became their teacher. A cruel mentor, but a mentor all the same. Think about that for a moment. In our own lives, don't we all face seasons of silence? Times when we seem to vanish, when no one notices us, when we feel erased. And yet those moments can be the very ones that forge us into something stronger. The Jokmales lived that truth. Then, after what felt like forever, whispers turned into sightings. Tracks appeared where none had been. Shapes moved in the grass at dusk. And then one night, roars thundered again, rolling across the plains. The Jokmales were back, but they were not the same lions that had disappeared. They had changed. Their bodies carried new scars. Their manes were darker, heavier. Their eyes burned with the experience of survival. They had gone into exile as outcasts, and they returned as something else entirely. They disappeared without a trace. And returned as Kings of Death. The title is not exaggeration, it is the truth of what they became. And I want to hear from you. Do you think real strength is built in the spotlight or in the hidden battles nobody ever sees? Let me know in the comments. The return of the Jock males was not quiet. It was a declaration. Their roars shook the night like thunder, echoing through valleys and across rivers. These were not the same lions who had once slipped away into exile. These were survivors, forged by hunger, by fear, by silence. They came back carrying the weight of kingship, even before they held any territory. But the savannah does not hand out crowns. Every throne must be taken, and every inch of ground must be defended. Standing in their path were coalitions stronger, larger, and far more feared. At that time, the Mapogo males dominated the land, a name spoken with respect and terror. They were known for their brutality, for leaving nothing alive in their wake. Compared to them, the Jock males seemed like shadows, fewer in number, less famous, less feared. And yet the Jocks did not run. They pushed forward step by step, battle by battle. They fought not with overwhelming strength, but with persistence. They didn't need to be monsters. They needed only to survive, to endure, to wait for moments when opportunity cracked open the wall of dominance. Every scar on their bodies told the story of these clashes. A torn ear, a limp that lingered for weeks, bite marks deep across their shoulders. These were not signs of defeat. They were medals of endurance. Proof that they had faced power greater than their own and still walked away breathing. In many ways, their battles mirrored our own human struggles. Sometimes we stand against rivals larger than us, companies, challenges, even people who seem unbeatable. And like the Jock males, we learn that survival itself can be victory. Because every day we endure, every fight we walk away from shapes us into something harder, sharper, wiser. The Jocks may not have crushed their rivals outright, but they carved a place for themselves in the savannah's story. They showed that kings are not always the ones who conquer the fastest, but the ones who refuse to vanish, who keep standing when everything says they should fall. Let me ask you this. In your life, do you think respect comes more from fear or from resilience? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. With time, the Jock males earned something rarer than territory. They earned respect, not through fear, not through overwhelming power, but through endurance. They survived where so many others had fallen. They carved out spaces, protected prides, and left their bloodline woven into the savannah's future. Their reign was not built on terror like the Mapogo, nor on overwhelming numbers like other coalitions. It was built on resilience, on persistence, on the ability to return again and again when the world expected them to vanish. They had once disappeared without a trace, but now they stood as living proof that survival itself can be a crown. As the years passed, age began to weigh on them. Their manes grew heavier, their roars slower. The savannah, which had once tested them as young exiles, now pressed down again, this time with the weight of time. New coalitions rose. Younger males challenged them. And just as they had once taken their place in the cycle, others came to claim theirs. This is the truth of lions and of life. No reign lasts forever. Every king eventually returns to dust. The Jock males, like so many before them, faded back into the silence from which they had first emerged. But they did not vanish empty-handed. They left behind cubs, bloodlines, and a legend. Because legends are not about how long you rule. Legends are about how you are remembered, and the Jock males are remembered as lions who endured, lions who carried scars like crowns, lions who proved that sometimes the greatest power is not to dominate, but simply to refuse to be erased. They disappeared without a trace and returned as kings of death. That title is not just a hook, it is the truth of their story. And now I want to bring you into this legend. Do you think survival is enough to earn respect? Or do you believe only dominance makes a true king? Drop your answer in the comments. I'm curious to see how you view the story of the Jock males, because in the end, Their story is not just about lions. It's about us. About every time we've vanished, every time we've been overlooked, and every time we've had to rise again, stronger, scarred, but still standing. The story of the Jock males is more than the rise and fall of lions. It is a mirror of life itself. In them we see our own struggles, the times we've been cast out, the moments when silence made us feel invisible, the scars we carry that no one else understands. They were born into fragility. They were exiled into nothingness. They disappeared without a trace and returned as kings of death. That title is not just a phrase, it is the truth of their lives. Their comeback reminds us that even when the world forgets us, we can still return stronger. Their scars remind us that pain can become proof of survival. Their persistence reminds us that kingship isn't about ruling forever. It's about leaving a mark that time cannot erase. What makes their legacy so powerful is not dominance, but resilience. They weren't the largest coalition. They weren't the most feared, but they endured. And endurance in the face of impossible odds creates legends. The savannah never forgets. Every roar, every fight, every scar becomes part of its eternal memory. The Jock males are gone now, returned to the dust from which they came. But their legend continues to echo, reminding us that the line between disappearance and kingship is often just the courage to rise again. And this is where I turn it over to you. What do you think defines a true king? Is it power, fear, dominance, or the ability to keep standing no matter how many times life tries to erase you? Share your answer in the comments. I want this to be more than just my perspective. I want to hear yours too. If you've made it this far, thank you for walking through this legend with me. And if you think the story of the Jock males is powerful, wait until you hear the next one. It's the tale of a lion whose story is written in blood and vengeance. The title says it all. They killed his brother, and he never forgave. That lion's name was Olobor, and his legend is every bit as unforgettable. So make sure you subscribe, because the savannah has more stories to tell, stories that are real, raw, and powerful beyond imagination.